Welcome, everybody. It is Jake from Wisco. I am going to be riding solo today. Uh, Tyler went solo yesterday. I had some stuff pop up yesterday. Wanted to be there for my son's football game, so I decided to go to that and move myself to today. Mike will be joining me later to talk about Badgers football, but first I have to talk about some Brewers baseball. So let's get into it.
Welcome to another live episode of the Wisco Fanatics Show, where we discuss the Packers, Bucks, Brewers, Badgers football, and basketball from an optimistic perspective. Wisco Fanatics is brought to you by Cardboard Legacy, Wisconsin's most complete sports card shop. Buy, sell, grade, and consign all at their location in Oshkosh.
All right, again, welcome back. Jake riding solo for the first half an hour of today's episode. Going live on a Thursday. Today felt like a Wednesday all day, so I was looking forward to the show. So got that going for me. But we have some Brewers games to talk about. I have Game 3 versus the Cardinals, which I'm going to discuss first. And then we have the Rockies series, which the Brewers played at home. Obviously, everybody knows the outcome of that series, but still have some breakdowns from that. And then I have games 1 and 2 from the Giants series that I'll talk about today. But let's get into the Brewers versus the Cardinals. So the Brewers ended up losing this one. This was the second straight loss to the Cardinals, the second straight loss in extra innings to the Cardinals as well. So it makes it sting a little bit worse. But on the bump for this one was Colin Ray. Colin Ray pitched 4 innings, had 4 hits, 2 earned runs, 4 Ks, and 2 walks. And you look at the 2 walks, and he doesn't really put himself into a lot of trouble as of late up to this point. He had 1 walk the entire month of August. So that's how impressive he was in the month of August. And he allowed 2 in this one. And really, they did a good job. I'm going to give credit to the Cardinals. They did a good job getting his pitch count up and getting him out of the game in 4 innings. Deal Hall came in relief. He also pitched 4 innings, 0 earned runs, 6 Ks, and 2 walks. That's just a tremendous job from Deal Hall. He's been fantastic since he's come back from the injured list. He went down to the minors, worked out. They figured something out, and they got him looking right. The guy yesterday was handsomer, Tyler says. I don't know. I'm feeling pretty good with the haircut, not going to lie. Then you get Devin Williams on the mound. Devin Williams did Devin Williams things. Clean inning, 2 Ks. He's just fantastic. Piamps and Milner worked the extras, and just unfortunate for Hobie Milner, but it is what it is. So we get to the scoring. The one thing that I really wanted to take away, there's a few things. First of all, Haas homered in this one in the 8th inning, tying the game for the Brewers. That was his 4th homer of the year, and that was his first home run since July 21st, when he had 2 home runs versus Minnesota when the Brewers came off of the All-Star break, that 2-game series versus the Twins. First home run since then, so it's been quite a while, but Haas is just being a professional, and when his number is called, he's showing up when we need them. You know what that means, exactly. So RBIs in this one. Haas obviously got his 11th, and Ortiz got an RBI. You get to runners in scoring position. This was obviously a discussion point after this game, as the Brewers were 0 for 15 in this one, runners in scoring position. So that's tough. It's what it is. It's tough. There's no other way around it. The Brewers, though, did have a chance to take the lead in the 8th inning. So after Haas homered, Terang hit a double. From the double, you get a grounder from Churio, which advanced Terang to third base. After that, there's 1 out. You have a runner on third base. You have Contreras coming up. You're thinking as a Brewers fan, okay, let's just hit one deep enough. I don't care if you get out. Let's just hit one deep enough. Get him in, score. We'll put Devin Williams on the mound, and we'll get out of this thing, right? Well, Contreras ends up striking out. Adames comes up to the plate. He walks. And then you get to Mitchell, and he ends up striking out as well. And from there, you just it is what it is. It was a tough loss, and you just move on. But before we move on to the next game, I just want to say, good golly, I am so happy that we do not have to see Sonny Gray again this year. Sonny Gray is a tremendous pitcher. He signed a big fat deal with the Cardinals this offseason, but he's good. He's just a professional. He's been in majors for a while, so he knows what he's doing. And the Brewers did okay against him this year. They were the first ones to tag him earlier this year, back in April, I believe it was. Yeah, I believe it was April, and the second time that we ended up seeing him. So just glad we don't have to see him anymore. So now we move on to the Rockies series. And the first game of the Rocky series, Frankie Montas is on the mound. And Frankie Montas was mowing, absolutely destroying the Rockies. Went 6 innings, 2 hits, 3 earned runs, 3 walks, and 10 Ks. He didn't allow a hit in the first 5 innings of this game. He was tremendous. This was his first 10K game as a Brewer, so good job by him. And then I'm gonna start running out of superlatives how to explain Aaron Ashby. I mean, Aaron Ashby has been absolutely nothing but superb since he came up to the Brewers. Again, a couple weeks ago, Tyler and I were having a discussion, and we broke down how good Aaron Ashby has been. Even in the month of August, he was on a hot streak with the Nashville Sounds before he came up, and he has done nothing but continue that and a little bit improve that. His velocity's been up. Tyler broke down his spin rate last week as well. He has been amazing. Get to RBIs in this one. Ortiz a 2-out RBI, so back-to-back days, back-to-back games and days for Ortiz to have RBIs up to 48 at this point. Offense clearly in an obvious slump. Now in this game, they went 2 for 5 in runners in scoring position. That's much better than the 0 for 15 that they showed against the Cardinals in the final game of that series. But they were clearly in a slump. They're not being consistent as they were for a few weeks there. And I'm going to have a discussion when I get done with these games on things that I want to see them improve on. And things that, they're going to have to do because they have a tough schedule going down the stretch. But Bowers ended up getting his 11th steal in this one. We have to talk about something, though. I have to give credit to somebody on the Rockies. That throw from Brenton Doyle to third base I forgot who he got out. But, nuance. That throw from Brenton Doyle to get the out at third base was by far one of the best throws I've ever seen in a baseball game. I was left in awe as I sat there looking at my television like, there's no way that he just threw that laser. I mean, that was incredible stuff from Brenton Doyle. That was I seriously can't get over that. I'm thinking about it now. I'm re-watching that play in my head right now. Brenton Doyle making that throw. That was incredible stuff. And he's not a bad overall player. He's hitting in the mid 260s, I believe, last time I checked. He's got over 20 home runs. He's got about 70 RBIs, I believe, maybe 71 at this point. But he's having a good year. And defensively, when he's able to do stuff like that, I mean, he's just a good player. That's just what you get to at that point. Excuse me. So, sadly, the offense in the first 2 games that I get to talk about didn't do much, didn't show much. So they have some things to work on, but they have the construction of a team to get through slumps like this. And this isn't the first slump that they've seen during this year. And that's just how baseball works. Baseball is just such an up and down kind of game. You're going to have times like this. You're going to have 2-week stretches where, you're just not seeing the ball, or 1 or 2 guys aren't seeing the ball well. And it could, end big innings. The Brewers actually had one last night where they had an opportunity to kind of break through, and, it just didn't happen. But that's just the way it goes. Tyler does the face a little bit better than me, but we like to go baseball, it's just one of those things. So now we get to a win. So that's exciting. I get to discuss a win. So that's something that I love to do. We get to talk about the Brewers 5-2 win over the Rockies. So first and foremost, I'm going to get the credit out of the way here because I want to talk good about the Brewers now. But I still want to give respect to Brenton Doyle again. Back-to-back days with crazy, crazy plays. He has the throw the day before, and then coming into this next game, which I believe was last Saturday, he has a crazy catch. And I'm just like, dude, is this guy our new boogeyman over there in Colorado? But just great stuff by him, honestly. So you go to Myers. Myers 6 innings pitched, 4 hits, an earned run, a walk, and 11 Ks. I mean, what else is there to say about Tobias Myers that we haven't said this year? Guy who's a rookie, guy who's really accepted his role on this team, guy who seems very approachable, very coachable. He's done everything right up to this point. He's been tremendous. He had a rocky start to the season, got coached up a little bit, and now he's just been a rock star. Maybe I should do a little video series on why he's been so good and what has changed. That's something that I could do, so I'm going to write that down. Video series on what changed. So that will be something I'll put in the back pocket. Look at that later. So now you get to Jared Koenig. Jared Koenig also been tremendous, also been a rookie, also been coachable. The Brewers pitching lab, the reason that people get so up in arms about it, and there's kind of running jokes all over the internet, even like fans of other teams are starting to get in on this, is they just do such a good job with getting every ounce of ability out of these guys. And they're so big on spin rate, and the spin rate turns up the velocity of these pitches, and they know how to coach it, man. And coaching is such a thing that just gets underrated. So then you get to I'll wait for Devin Williams. So I'm going to talk about some offense here. Adames and Sanchez go back-to-back home runs, both with 2 outs. Adames gets to 30 home runs on the year, so congratulations to him. Gets to 101 RBIs, and at that time when he got to 101 RBI, he was tied with Shohei Ohtani for the NL lead in RBIs. So Willy Adames having a tremendous year, as would anybody before they're looking a giant payday in the face. Gary Sanchez with his 10th homer of the year, up to 35 RBIs, again, both with 2 outs. And then Rhys Hoskins got up to bat. And this is where we go back to the crazy catch by Brenton Doyle. Rhys Hoskins almost went back-to-back-to-back jacks. But Brenton Doyle said, no, I think he's just going to stop at 2. So, good job by him keeping the Rockies into the game. Contreras also had a home run in the 4th. And the thing that I wrote down here is the Brewers power too much, and they needed that win. They definitely powered themselves to the win after struggling. 3 straight L's. The Brewers are still the only team in Major League Baseball without 4 consecutive losses. Still the only team. The only team. The Phillies have had 4 straight losses. The Dodgers have had 4 straight losses. The Yankees have had 4 straight losses. The Orioles. I mean, there's a lot of good teams in baseball this year. Those are all the top-tier teams, and you enter the Brewers in there. They have not had a 4-loss streak, so that just shows the consistency of this team. The pitching staff, the coaching, everything top to bottom has been tremendous. Back to the RBI train here. Contreras, his home run, scored 2. He got to 82 RBIs. That moved him into 4th place all-time RBIs by a catcher in Brewers history, and 21 home runs on the year. That home run he hit also broke an 0 for 20 streak that he was on. So he was ice cold. Oh my goodness, I didn't change the banner. See, I'm not I gotta change the banner. I'm not used to the banner thing. I apologize for that. But yeah, so that he was on an 0 for 20 streak. He really needed that. The team really needed a win. So it helps when your best players hit and they hit the ball over the fence, if you can't tell. So Ortiz again. So 3 straight days by Ortiz, 2 straight days getting a 2-out RBI. So great stuff by the rookie. He was tremendous this last week, in my opinion. And now and they were 1 for 5 runners in scoring position. So now you're 3 for 10. So you're still hitting 300 runners in scoring position during the first 2 games of this series, which you can live with. Then you get to Devin Williams, and you didn't get us. If you're a Rockies fan, you were giving credit to Devin Williams because he was stand up, and sit down in this game. He was tremendous. 1 inning pitch, 0 hits, 0 earned runs, 0 walks, and 3 Ks. Just got to tell you, man, there's 206 bones in the human body, but when Devin Williams pitches like that, there's 207 because he was fantastic. So much needed win for the Brewers. They really, really needed that. So now, as I turn the page here, you get to Game 3 of the Rocky series, and I'm gonna have a discussion here. I'm gonna have a little sidebar. The Brewers offense. They went ice cold in this one. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If you watch this ball game, it was ugly. Brewers had 3 total hits in this one. Scored 1 run that was in the first inning off a Hoskins single. Contreras ended up scoring, and Sanchez moved to second base on that single. But after that, it was really nothing available for the Brewers. They had. And this is from my count, so I could be wrong. Anybody can fact check me. It doesn't matter. Also, that was a 2-out RBI by Hoskins. So, again, adding to their Major League Baseball lead with 2-out RBIs. So, they're still continuing to do that even though the offense is struggling. They had 23 straight retired. Do you guys understand that is like 4 away from a perfect game? That's not good. Not a walk. Not a hit by pitch, just up there and sat down. Something I didn't go through is how many strikeouts they had, but it was not good. Shout out to Isaac Collins though. He got his first major league hit, so good job by him in the second inning, and he also got his first ever stolen base. So again, congratulations to Isaac Collins. Take a drink real quick. It's very good work by him. He is the 10th Brewer this year to make his MLB debut, so that's pretty impressive. We've had 10 people make their major league debuts. We've had 17 starting pitchers, which ties a franchise record back in 1969 by the Seattle Pilots. They weren't even called the Milwaukee Brewers at that point yet, so that's incredible. 71 RBIs for Hoskins, and again, 1 for 5 runners in scoring position, back-to-back days. So now that moves you to 4 out of 15. Do some quick math here. That is a 266 average. Not gonna lie, it's not gonna get it done. They're gonna need to be a little bit better than that, but we've talked about this before. Saying too many odds, I apologize. We've talked about this before. I would rather you go back to the 0 for 15 game. I would rather have an 0 for 15 than a 1 for 5 because you're giving yourself an opportunity at 0 and 15 to score a lot of runs. A 1 for 5 day, you're not giving yourself an opportunity to score a lot of runs, and you're only 1 out of those 5. So you're definitely not scoring a lot of runs in that scenario. So that just means that the Rockies were mowing us down, like Frankie Montas was the day before. In this one, Peralta started 4 2/3, 7 hits, 300 runs, 2 walks, and 4 Ks. Milner came in, pitched a third of an inning, gave up a run. And then we got to talk about Joe Ross. I mean, the long relief pitchers on this team, you're talking about Ashby, you're talking about Joe Ross. Those guys have really taken over those roles. They have been outstanding. Absolutely outstanding for the last month plus. The Brewers don't always get great starts from their starters. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But the fact that they have 2 guys, a guy like Joe Ross and a guy like Aaron Ashby, who they can count on to come in and give them multiple innings, is something that gives Murphy and this fan base a lot of confidence. The defense behind them isn't too bad either, so shout out to them. Peguero also an inning pitch and 1 hit, so he did tremendous. So now we get in. They had a day off on Monday, and then on Tuesday they played their first game against the San Francisco Giants. They won this one. Another win for the Brewers, so they needed this one as well, as they still have an outside shot at the number 2 seed and a bye. Don't have to play in the wild card round, which would be something that the Brewers absolutely need. I don't care what anybody says about rust and all that other stuff. No, they have too many bruises and nicks. They could use a couple extra days off before they get into really high pressure baseball. But the Brewers won this one 3-2. Couple shout outs I have to give. One, I have to give a shout out to Jackson Chourio. The defense that this kid is playing. Now, everybody talks about how tremendous he is on offense, and rightfully so. The kid hits the cover off the baseball. He hits it to all fields with power. He can run the bases like nobody's business. He does everything. And the fact that he's showing that now by having 2 crazy catches in one ball game, one he made against the wall, and one he fell into the netting into the crowd. I mean, there's at this point, there's nothing this kid can't do. The ceiling that you have for this kid, he might exceed that ceiling if his ceiling is 9 feet tall. His ceiling might be 10 feet tall, just to give a numbers example on that. I mean, he is just incredible. Can't give him enough credit for the way that he's handled stuff and become such a professional at such a young age. I couldn't imagine. I was a mess at 20 years old. I wasn't hitting dingers or robbing home runs or diving into the netting to make baseball catches. I mean, this kid is incredible. But give credit to another guy who's had some up and downs, lots of injuries the last couple of years, but he has shown some unreal toughness, which I believe nobody has given him credit for, the toughness to come back from these injuries and to still compete and be a Major League Baseball player, honestly. Garrett Mitchell, he saw the first pitch he saw in the 6th inning, he cranked a homer. Ended up being 109 miles off the bat, which was his hardest hit ball of the year, and it went 411 feet, and it was the difference in the game. Brewers won this one 3-2. And that's how it ended. The bullpen took care of business after that. We're talking about, DL Hall pitching this one as well. I want to give him credit. Savali also had a great outing. Savali's been great for a couple outings now in a row. But we're talking about McGill and Williams and Hall. And I'm telling you, with DL Hall and Joe Ross, the way that they've been pitching, they can bridge any bullpen guy and get you from the starter to the last 2 innings, and it's pretty much locked down at that point. If Trevor McGill is Trevor McGill and Devin Williams is Devin Williams, there's not a lot of offenses that are going to withstand this pitching rotation. To go from McGill throwing you 100 miles an hour with a circle change, and then you go to Devin Williams with one of the best changeups in baseball history, that's just unfair. Also, shout out to McGill for only needing 7 pitches to get through the 8th inning. That's nasty stuff. So now we get to last night's game. And I went to go watch my son play. And my son got humbled a little bit yesterday. So he learned some hard life lessons. And I don't sugarcoat anything around him when it comes to learning life lessons through sports. That's the thing that I love most about sports, is that there's merit. There's a winner and there's a loser. That's really what it is. Either you were good enough that day and you can look at it that you were good enough and you still have stuff to improve on, or you were not good enough that day. And I don't pull punches because he's going to learn a lot of life lessons. And the reason why I don't pull punches is because when you get to the pros, you still have those moments. And the Brewers had one of those moments last night. I get home from watching my son get absolutely dog walked in his game to turning on the Brewers game and watching them be down 8-0 after 2 innings. I had a bad sports day yesterday. It was not a good sports day for me. My son was all crabby, in a mood. I go turn on the Brewers and I'm like, what the hell is this shit? I was like, today's not my day, man. I shouldn't have watched any sports. Not my day, but to the credit of the Giants, they were good yesterday. Again, up 8-0 after 2, up 10-1 after 4. And that was the point of the game where I was just like, yeah, I think I'm going to catch some Z's. I will watch the recap of this game to catch up on the rest of this game. But yeah, I think 10-1 is kind of where I decided to pull the plug on that one, as any normal human being would. But credit to the to the Brewers. They at least put up a fight. In the second inning, they got the bases loaded. They made Snell work a little bit, but he was still able to go 5 innings. Colin Ray, though, he had a tough go of it. 4 innings pitched, 11 hits, 10 earned runs, 1 K, and 1 walk. So, little quick discussion point on that. I saw a lot of people asking, why did he leave Colin Ray in? Why did he leave Colin Ray in? Sometimes as a professional, when things aren't going your way, you can't just pull a guy after the first inning. You can't just pull the guy after the second inning. Sometimes you got to wear it. And you have to force these guys who are grown adults getting paid lots of money, which people like to talk about all the time. You have to tell them to just fight through it because that's what their team needs. Now, I'm going to use this as my transition to go on to what I want to talk about. So the reasoning for that is the Brewers have 17 games remaining this season. 13 of those 17 games are versus teams that are currently in the playoffs. They have 7 games versus the Diamondbacks. They have 1 game versus the Giants tonight, and then they start a series versus the Diamondbacks, 3 games in Arizona. Then they have 3 games versus the Phillies. Then they have a 4-game series versus the Diamondbacks at home. The Phillies and Diamondbacks are at home, so 7 straight at home. Then they play the Pirates, who is 3 of the 4 remaining games that are under 500. And then they finish the season at home versus the Mets, who are absolutely on fire right now. So as the Brewers are struggling, and for some reason they struggle with the Rockies this season, and it seems like they always struggle with the Giants. I don't know what it is about Wisconsin teams struggling with San Francisco, but I gotta tell you, I'm getting sick and tired of that shit. I will say, in terms of basketball, the Warriors' days are coming to an end. So hopefully we won't have to deal with that much longer. But in terms of the Brewers, they just have to keep doing the right things. Get back to just getting a lot of people on base. The bullpen's going to be the bullpen. Starters, they got to aim to give us 5 innings, maybe a little bit more if they're feeling good that day, 5 1/3, 6 innings if they want to. And then just let the bullpen be the bullpen. But they just got to get back to doing the daily things that they've been doing. And, after that, I think they'll be fine. So if you can see right here, I'm going to change what we're going to talk about here because I'm going to invite somebody in here, and it's going to be Mikey. So, Mikey, how we doing? Can't see you.
Good. Am I live?
You're live.
Oh, there we go.
You're live, man. I got to click all the buttons today, and that's not the fingers don't usually have to work as hard on Wednesdays and Thursdays. So, first thing we're going to do is I'm going to turn to my Badger page, okay? So, turn to the Badgers, and we're going to talk about the Badgers versus South Dakota, okay? So, we're going to start on defense. And do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first? How do you want to rock this? We can make the decisions here today, so.
I guess since I didn't get quite as much action on this last game, I'll just get it out of the way.
Get going here. Get going.
Yeah. So as y'all know, I got the secondary. So I got the cornerbacks and the safeties. So kind of similar to the Western Michigan game. There wasn't necessarily many, deep shots, so to speak. South Dakota did get a couple plays for 25 and 24 yards, but it wasn't like long passes or anything like that. So I think with that, obviously the secondary this weekend is going to get tested, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But once again, it was led by our guy, Hunter Wohler. Guy's just a freak. 8 total tackles, 4 solo. Guy's just been all over the field this year. So and his colleague, Preston Zachman, 3 tackles, 2 solo. Rico actually got a couple. He got involved a little bit for this weekend in comparison to week 1. Where he didn't really have much of a pulse, but that wasn't his fault. He had a couple tackles, and the one thing that really stood out this week to me was actually the snap count, right? So, it was led by Rico and the cornerback group. I'm going to start there for this. Rico had 52 snaps, played the whole game. The biggest surprise on this was, well, not even surprise because we've talked about him, but Xavier Lucas, actually, the true freshman that we've talked about, he went up triple the amount of snaps. going from 7 snaps to week 1, I think it was, up to 26 this last game. It's something that Badger fans should definitely be on the lookout for going into this weekend, because I think there's actually a good chance that his snap count's actually going to increase even more with the athleticism that we got with Bama coming in this weekend. So Nizier Forqueen got 30 snaps in, Max Lofi 25. So between those 4, those last 3 that I mentioned, it was pretty well balanced. And honestly, I would be pretty okay with that. And there's RJ Delancey only got 4 snaps, which is something that was interesting. But again, I think Xavier Lucas is just too damn good to not put on the field. So just to keep in mind. And then for the safety room, pretty basic. Hunter Wohler and Preston Zachman took all 52 snaps. Austin Brown got 12. But I also think he was rotating in with the nickel corner, Max Lofi. So, not a whole lot with deep plays once again. I think I'm going to have a different type of conversation here next week when we talk more, because I'm pretty certain that Alabama is going to take a couple deep shots here and there. And I think we're going to know a lot more about our secondary group, as we talk more about it next week. So, that would just about wrap it up on my end.
Yeah, so I have the defensive line. So Tyler covered the linebackers yesterday. Just for a reminder, Tyler went solo yesterday. He covered linebackers, and I believe he has wide receivers on offense. So you will, if you want to hear his opinions on the South Dakota game and his preview for the Alabama game, you have to go back to yesterday's episode. Today is the Mike and Jake special. So I like the way that sounds. But defensive line, they gave up 4.4 yards per carry. Probably could be better. They've had some struggles. And that was on 28 carries. They gave up 123 yards. So definitely something that's going to be an emphasis. I'm not going to give too much away on that right now. But in terms of pass rush, in terms of the D-line, they had 2 of the 3 sacks from Elijah Hills. I mean, where the heck is this guy coming from? He's becoming the sack master all of a sudden.
And I'll tell you what, like this dude sorry to cut you off. I'm just going to talk about him in fall camp, because for the most part, he was playing, on 13. Sometimes he took second team reps, but he was not taking first team starter reps in fall camp, just to put that out there. Like, this is a guy that I thought, okay, I thought he was just going to be, a body going into this year. He came from Albany, University of Albany. Mm-hmm. Maybe get a couple snaps this year, take your scholarship for last year, have some fun at Wisconsin, party a little bit. But he's the bright spot on the D line for sure, with 2 sacks. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so far he's really been the outlier with this group, which has kind of been a letdown in my opinion. Then you get to pressures. The Badgers D line had 5 of the 16 total pressures, 2 from Ben Barton, 2 from Eli Hills, who also had the 2 sacks, and Brandon Lean had the other 1. So really, the Badgers D-line, I mean, I understand scheme, all this other stuff, blah, blah, blah. I don't care about that. At the end of the day, it's either you put up or you shut up, and that's kind of how it is. They're going to have to play better against Alabama. I mean, there's just no way about it. And I know that we're focusing on Alabama, but kind of looking forward. I know we have the week off in between, but then going to USC. I mean, USC is almost a top 10 team in the country now. They're not ranked 11 right now. So having a top 4 team, as my girlfriend keeps blowing up my phone, and then going to what could be a top 10 team in a couple of weeks. I mean, we have 2 big-time matchups coming up here, so the D-line is going to have to step it up big. But with that being said, I'm going to talk about special teams real quick. So Tretch had 4 kick returns for 80 yards, so nothing really to write home about there. Vinny Anthony, 2 returns for 3 yards. He had 1 return for 3 yards and 1 return for 0 yards. So that's where we are with the kick return game. Good game for Vacos, 2 for 2. He had a 50-yarder, so good for him.
That was huge.
3 for 3 on extra points, so tremendous job. 5 for 5 in the year in extra points and 4 for 5 overall. So at the end of the day, people are going to talk about the field goal he missed in week 1 when it's week 1. But you get to week 2 and you scope out a little bit. 4 for 5 in the year is not bad, right? Take that all day.
Yo, that field goal was huge, that 51-yarder, because at that point in the game, like, I was nervous as shit. Like if he doesn't make that kick, South Dakota gets the ball damn near midfield going the other way,
Yeah.
and they're only
Yeah.
down 4 points. So
Yeah.
kudos to Vakos. That was kind of a game changer, honestly, because then you got to make them go a full field. You got to make them score a touchdown. So,
well, another guy, and I joked last week about having a great name, and he does. Atticus Bertrams. That's a fantastic name. 4 punts, 186 yards. He had one inside the 20, and he hit one that was 53 yards. I mean, he's absolutely, at the end of the day, him and Vakos, Atticus and Vakos are becoming some major weapons on special teams, with one flipping the field and allowing the defense to start with good field position to play against the offense, and two, Vakos making clutch kicks like you brought up. So just tremendous stuff from both of them. Now we switch to offense. So what do you got on the running backs?
This is a very, very interesting week. You know, we got to see some guys that we haven't really seen this year, and and we actually had a big bright spot who I thought was going to be RB 3, 4, and now we're going into this week, and you could argue this guy could damn near start for us. So I'm going to start with him because he deserves a spotlight. He ran the hardest, I thought, and you could just tell he's got a burst of speed, and that's Katie Akameli. He had 8 carries for 73 yards on 21 snaps. A fun fact for any Badger fans out there. So in the off season, Coach Collins has the workouts with the guys and everything, and they time their speed. Well, looking back on it, Katie Akameli actually had the fastest speed out of all the running backs. He was clocked at running 20.67 miles an hour.
No way.
That's the fastest out of all the running backs that were in all the workouts. So I didn't know about it until I dug into it more after this last game, and just reading a couple of articles on the guy, and just, you just hear the coach's feedback with how much work he does put in, and not only on offense, but he's in all the special teams too, kick return. So you can have him go knock a dude out. I do know one of the articles I was reading the other day, he actually filled in for Tackett Curtis when Tackett was playing defense in the whole second half. Cade actually took his spot on kickoff. So very selfless football player. Like I said, 8 carries for 73 yards, long run of 29. He's just more explosive. He's just way more explosive, I think, too. If you really, look at him closely in comparison to last year, he put on 7 to 8 pounds of really good weight. You can tell he's a little bit bigger as well, and he definitely provided that spark for the offense and the run game, obviously. So kudos to him. I think he was the MVP of this game, quite frankly, if I'm going to be blunt about it. But then just to go down the line, I guess, we got Chez Malusi. He also had a decent game, 16 carries, 60 yards, 2 touchdowns on 32 snaps. And then to get into the freshman, actually, who we have not seen on the field really yet, Darian Dupree, 6 carries, 24 yards, looked really, really good. I think, we've kind of talked about it before. I know I have. If he's out in space, he's going to be dangerous. You could just tell on those first couple carries, he can slither by you pretty easily. So that was good to see. He got his first down for us. Dylan Jones also came in, got 4 carries for 14 yards. The one possession that he was in, he single-handedly, took the ball 3-4 straight times. He got a first down for us. And you could tell he was a little shiftier too. So without a doubt, I think the future is bright in the running back room. I think with, these 4, 5, even 6 running backs competing with each other week over week, somebody's coming out of the woodworks, and who's having that game? Week 1, it was, Chez Malusi and Tawi Walker. They had their moments. This last game, Chez did decent, but this was Katie Akameli's game, right? And unfortunately, we were able to see the freshman. But I think going into this week, man, I'm going to talk about it, but I think you could argue Katie Akameli deserves more snaps. I think he looks, if we're talking explosiveness right now, I think he's the most explosive. Because even going back to week 1, he had a couple good runs as well. But you just watch the film again from this last game, and I go back to, I think he's the most explosive so far out of everybody. So
yeah,
Yeah,
I
very
agree.
bright spot.
So also shout out to Cade. It's his birthday today, so happy birthday, Cade.
Happy birthday.
But now we get to the offensive line, and it's funny when I look at the offensive line of the Badgers and I watch the offensive line of the Packers. I wish we could combine them together because the Badgers offensive line is so good at run blocking and the Packers offensive line is so good at pass blocking. If we could just morph them into one and have them play for both teams, that'd be tremendous, right? But you get to the offensive line, they had 0 penalties in the run blocking game, so that's fantastic. They gave up 2 sacks on this one. Joe Huber and Jake Renfro gave up sacks. They gave up 2 quarterback hits. Renfro and Riley Mahlman gave up the hits. You get the hurries. They gave up 7 hurries in this one. Mahlman had 2. Joe Brunner had 2. Jack Nelson had 2. And Tawi Walker had 1. I'm just going to go out on a limb, and this is not me talking any shit or anything like that. It's definitely an opportunity for Tawi Walker to improve and show that he can be an NFL running back, but pass pro, not his strong suit so far. Now, I understand that he was hobbled going into this game and he didn't play much, but he has not shown to be a strong pass blocker so far. Going on to pressures, they gave up 11 pressures in the pass blocking game. Riley Mahlman gave up 3. Joe Brunner, Jack Nelson, and Jake Renfro gave up 2. Joe Brunner gave up 1, and again, Tawi Walker, again, just an opportunity for him to improve, gave up a pressure. But other than that, I mean, I thought the offensive line, I think, did fine. I think they did okay. I think at some times they struggled with a little bit of the speed of South Dakota. That's my opinion. They weren't going to get overpowered, where when you go into a game against Alabama, you're going to have to deal with speed and power. Mm-hmm. I will break down some players that are going to be on the defensive line or off defensive line of Alabama. But first, before we get into that, so we're going to talk about defense, but I have to say something.
Yeah.
I looked at the ESPN analytics. The ESPN analytics in Wisconsin gives Alabama a 92.1% chance to win this football game. Mm-hmm. 92% chance on the road. And this is, we're not a small school. This is serious stuff. We hold 80K in our stadium. And by the way, they're trying to stripe it out. So God damn it, do your damn job and don't be stubborn.
Uh-huh.
Okay? That's one. Second of all, don't sit on your hands. These young kids need you this Saturday. The game's starting at 11 a.m. Don't tell me you're not awake and it's late and all that other stuff. Also, before we get into it, why is everybody crying about an 11 a.m. game? I love that. I fucking love that, dude. You're telling me I have an opportunity to start my day with a massive win for the Badgers, and then I just get to ride that high all day on Saturday? Fuck yeah. Sign me up, dude. Sign me up for that shit, because that sounds tremendous. Badgers are dogs. They are 16-point underdogs. The over-under is 50.5. I mean, Big Noon kickoff's going to be there. It's going to be a tremendous day. Madison's a beautiful place, beautiful stadium. It's going to be an awesome game. We need to be optimistic about this. We're not just going to lose by 20 points, okay? The Badgers aren't going to lose by 20 points in this game, in my opinion. Could they? Yeah, if things go right for Bama. But I also think there's a way where the Badgers win by 10 points in this one, in my mind, when I was breaking some stuff down. But first, we have to get into the defense. So, Mikey, what do you see in the preview of this one for the defensive backs in this game?
So I got to say, I'm going to say my quick piece as well. It's crazy how we're doing home and homes with a school like Alabama now. I know we played them, what was that, like 2015, 2016, I think. Yep. I think we lost by like 15, 18 points to them there. And that was in Dallas at the Cowboys Stadium. But I just want to say, first off, kudos to these schools scheduling home and homes now rather than playing at neutral sites. This is what college sports is all about, honestly. Not playing at these neutral sites, playing at these schools, just to get different types of different types of environment. Big Ten versus like SEC. This is fucking awesome. I think I love these home and homes, absolutely, and especially with like how much like money is now in college sports, how much like it's a 12-team college football playoff too, because I don't want to say we want to lose every damn game, but no, this is one of those games. Like if we can be competitive, we lose or whatever, we're not going to be out of the hunt for like the college football playoff now, right? So, this is something that we could potentially add to our resume. Should lightning strike for us in a good way, to be in that conversation to be in the college football playoff. But this has been 5-6 years in the making ever since it was announced. I still remember it when it got announced. On like the main poster board, it had Coach Chris, and then it had Nick Saban on there. Oh my, have things have changed ever since.
Holy cow.
Yeah. So yeah, this is about 5-6 years ago when this got announced. It was like, man, that's such a long ways away. What the hell? That's probably not going to happen. Watch this. Well, sure shit. Here we are, right? Now we got a home and home. I'm actually saving up to go to Tuscaloosa next year, believe it or not. I'm looking forward to that, but it's this Saturday, comes first at Camp Randall, but just want to get my piece out there. So going into this weekend, I think with Alabama, they are all about starting with the run first, but they have no problem slinging it. And it's when they do sling it, it's for big, big plays. Our secondary, without a doubt, is going to be tested at some point. It may not be necessarily right away, but it starts with their they got three receivers for Alabama, and it starts with a 17-year-old, believe it or not. Dude's name is Ryan Williams. Interesting story about him, actually. He was committed to Alabama under Nick Saban. Then he decommitted once DeBoer got the job. Then, thankfully, on DeBoer's case, he was able to bring him back on. But he's just nothing he only creates explosive plays for them. He's got 6 catches for 207 yards and 3 touchdowns. Now, if you do the math, that's 34.5 yards per catch. So you can see where I'm going with this. But and then if you go even down the line here, right, wide receiver number 2, Kobe Prentice, 5 catches, 77 yards, 1 touchdown. That's still over 15 yards a catch. And then number 3, Jeremy Bernard, 5 catches, 70 yards, 14-yard average. So with this team, Jalen Milroe, when he throws it, if he doesn't throw it deep, he throws it mid-range, I think we have opportunities to potentially get after him a little bit. But his deep ball is pretty damn good. So we just got to be – and I think it's going to be our strength. Our secondary is our strength and our defense. So we are going to get tested. Do I feel very good about it? Yes and no a little bit. I'm excited to see what Rico can do against, I'm going to assume, Ryan Williams. So I'm going to see that matchup. And, I mean, for athleticism standpoint, if Xavier Lucas is ready to go, because I know he was hurt a little bit, it's going to be interesting to see how he matches up with these dudes as well, just from an athletic standpoint. And even Nizier Forkery and how far he's come since last year. So I'm looking forward to that matchup because I think Alabama, first and foremost, they are going to try to run the ball, but they're going to take some deep shots for that, 20, 30-yard clip per catch. Because I think Jalen Milroe, his weak, if you want to call it a weakness, I'm kind of nitpicking here. But if we can force him to throw like those maybe 5-10-yard passes, I think we have an opportunity to potentially get a couple turnovers off that.
I agree. So yeah, great point there. The young kid over there, I forgot his name, Williams, he is just a super athlete, dude. He's just another one in the lineage of Alabama wide receivers, these young kids that could just straight up just run. I mean, the kid's just fast. But now we get to the D-line. So with the D-line, I've talked about a few things. One, I agree. I think they're going to try to run the ball. And Alabama just gets these kids with such great names. Their running back is called Jam Miller. Dude, what a name. Jam Miller. I mean, they had Kool-Aid last year. Now they have Jam. I mean, they have a whole buffet over there. But the guy who leads the buffet is Milroe. That's just absolutely no doubt about that. I think that you have to contain him. And not that he's going to have a lot of yards because he has 22 carries for 81 yards. He has 4 touchdowns rushing this year, and he has 5 touchdowns passing. The thing that we need to do is not allow him to run out and extend plays that allows the wide receivers to get open off of coverage. So the D-line, the game plan that they're going to have to come into this game with is to keep them in the pocket, keep them honed in. Daryl Peterson, I know I don't cover linebackers, but Daryl Peterson is going to have to be a guy that's going to have to hold serve on that side. John Pius on the other side is going to have to hold serve. And then we're just going to have to wrap up and tackle. We can't allow these guys to just get big gains after contact. That's just what it comes down to. The defense, just everything's going to have to be sound. So,
I mean, I was just going to say it's going to be no, go ahead. Actually, no, keep going.
No, I was going to switch to special teams. So say what you got to say.
Okay. I was going to say, so the interesting thing is Alabama's got 2 offensive linemen questionable this weekend. Yep. So it's something to watch. Caden Proctor, if that name sounds familiar, he used to be committed to Iowa. Well, he was at Bama his freshman year. Then he decommits, goes to Iowa. Now he's back at Bama. But he didn't play the first 2 games, and he's their starting left tackle. And he's questionable going into this weekend. So that's something to monitor. And they were starting right tackle. I forgot. I didn't write his name down, but he was also out the last 2 games too. And one of Bama's problems has not only been penalties, it's also giving up sacks. So it's something to monitor. This weekend, I know I'll be paying attention to it because it's going to be a good opportunity to try and get after Milroe. I think, not to go too off topic, I think we are going to end up stacking the box on these guys or loading the box. And I think at least at first, they're going to let our corners just go against their receivers, see how we do. Again, this is just me nitpicking because Bama's got weapons freaking everywhere. But if I had, gun to my head, what would I do? I would have our corners go straight up against their receivers because I think that is our strength of this defense at the end of the day. So, we'll see what happens there, I guess.
I think we have the athletes on the outside to match them athletically. I mean, I believe in Ricardo Hallman athletically. I believe in Xavier Lucas athletically. I believe in the smarts of the safety room. You can rotate really anybody in there, and I feel like they're well coached over there. It's really going to be on the front 7 in this game that's really going to determine a lot of the outcome of this game, and that's on both sides of the ball. Mm-hmm. So with that, we're going to switch to the special teams. I wrote this in all caps, and I underlined it. Catch the ball. Be smart and make your goddamn kicks. Okay? Now, after that, the last thing that I have is stay in your lane on kick coverage. We do not need anybody understanding that we're playing a big-time game against, I think they're number 4 in the country. Alabama's ranked number 4, right?
Yeah, 4 or 5, something like that.
Yeah, they're top 5.
Yeah, they're 4. You're good. Yeah.
You have a big dog coming in here. I don't need anybody playing fucking hero ball. You do your goddamn job, and we win this game, you're a hero. The whole team's a hero, okay? So just stay in your lane, catch the ball, be smart, don't play hero ball. Because we talked about it on Tuesday. We all think that Keyshawn Nixon was trying to be a hero at the end of that game, and it absolutely cost the Packers that game. And, maybe some play calls, maybe what led to Jordan Love being hurt. Not saying that's what happened, but things, that's my opinion. So now we switch over to the cool side of the football again that everybody likes to talk about, offense. What do you see from the running back room in this one?
I mean, it's going to be well, first off, Tawee Walker is questionable for this game. It's going to be interesting to see if he can play. I would like to see him play because Bama is pretty goddamn physical, and Tawee Walker loves to hit dudes. So I'm hoping he's back. It's going to be from collectively. We're going to have to all work together on this again. I think I mentioned it before. I think you got to give Cade Yakimelli the ball a few more times. He's on a hot streak right now. He's been the most explosive out of all the running backs out of these first 2 games. Chez is going to be Chez. He does run hard, but in terms of being explosive, I think you got to give the nod to Yakimelli this week. There is going to be opportunities, I think, to run the ball on these guys. One, I guess, important note. Obviously, the Badgers, we got Jake Chaney, who's out first half on Saturday. Alabama, actually, their 3rd leading tackler, Justin Jefferson, outside linebacker with 12 total tackles on the year. He's also suspended for the first half of this game. So it's something to monitor, I guess, as well. So kind of an eye for an eye sort of thing. But I actually watched him when he did get ejected from last week's game because I was watching that game against South Florida. So it was actually really interesting because South Florida ran the ball on these dudes last week. It was really interesting. It wasn't even just from their running back. It was from their quarterback as well. If the quarterback kind of just knew how to throw the ball a little bit, I mean, this game might be different. I mean, Byron Brown, their quarterback, 23 carries, 108 yards. And then Naquan Wright, 11 carries, 64 yards. I mean, 206 yards on the ground against Bama, right? And you're only down 14-13 going into the fourth quarter. So I think there's going to be an opportunity to run on these guys. We just got to do it early, I think, just to get on them a little bit.
Mm-hmm. So from the offensive line standpoint, I went over the offensive line in our season primer, and I talked about how much seniority they have. Lots of seniors, some juniors, maybe a sophomore mixed in there. Not a lot of guys without experience on this Badgers offensive line. And you look at the defensive line from Alabama, and it's the same thing. They have a starter, Jamarian Latham, 6'3", 278, senior. They have Tim Smith, 6'4", 314, senior. And then they have the big boy, 6'2", 326 pounds, Tim Keenan III. Just sounds like a football player. He's the nose guard, nose tackle, whatever you want to call him. He's the junior. These are the space eaters that allow the linebackers to eat free. If you're the offensive line, you have to be able to one-on-one block so we can get up to the second level to allow guys like Cade Yakimelli, allow guys like Malusi to get into the second level to get that 4.5, 5 yards per carry. Hopefully the Badgers are controlling the time possession in this one to keep Milroe off the field. That would definitely go a long way to winning this ball game so they can't take too many deep shots or they're forced to take a deep shot, and we kind of understand that, right? That would help as well. But the offensive line and the defensive line are going to be so vital in this game. I don't think I can understate it at all with how important they're going to be in this game. But you cannot allow the three men that I named before ruin this game. Also, if you're a senior on the Badgers offensive line and you're trying to put some good tape out there for the NFL, Saturday sounds like a good time to start that. Just saying.
That's a great point.
I mean, these guys are all thinking it. You go to Wisconsin, we call ourselves O-Line U. If you're trying to put some good tape together, why not do it against Alabama?
So that's literally, you're not going to get a better opportunity.
You're not
this whole year. We're going to be frank.
Yeah. I mean, it's Bama. They put a lot of people in the NFL. I mean, just to keep it frank. So now we switch gears. We go to X factors here. Mike, what's your X factor for the game?
I just wrote down the secondary because I go back to the fact that Bama lives off of big plays, big explosive plays. Like I mentioned it before, I think we have no choice but to stack the box, and this is going to load the box because just going off of how our run defense has kind of been trending so far this year, I don't think we can necessarily handle it straight up. Maybe something changes out of nowhere, but I think that's going to bring up opportunities for Alabama to take deep shots, and I think it's really going to come down to, can we limit the big plays? X factor in this game. Can we limit the big plays? Can we limit those 30, 40-yard bombs to at least a controlled, area in which we can still handle it and stay in the game? That's one thing. Like I said, that's what Milroe loves to do, loves to throw the deep ball. That's what the receivers, over 30 yards of fucking carry. I mean, that speaks for itself. So I would love to limit the X factor to me is the secondary and limit the big explosive plays.
So the X factor for me is pretty easy. Two guys that have been getting lots of questions the last 2 years, last year and coming into this year. First of all, you go to OC Phil Longo. It's time to empty the bag. Now, he did pull out a really nice play last week where it looked like an option play. Tyler Van Dyke ended up pulling it and threw it to a wide open Williams, which was a 50-yard pass. That was exciting. That was something that we wanted to see, but that also goes to show why the run game has to work. We have to be able to run that power inside to be able to pull all the linebackers and linemen so that Tyler Van Dyke has an open pocket to escape from to release that ball to a wide open Williams, right? So first of all, empty the bag. It's time. I'm not waiting around no more. The dairy raid, the derriere, I don't care what the hell you want to call it. It needs to get emptied Saturday. At about 10:30, you dump everything on the fucking table in Fickle's office and you take what you need against Alabama. Okay, because it needs to happen now. Secondly, I go to Tressel. Now, I understand that Tressel came into this year and you talked about it a lot and you made some really great points. When we gave you the floor a couple weeks ago on our first episode of the Primer, where you talked about how the D-line is really the group that has the least amount of depth on this team. But if you're a DC and you're a DC in the Big Ten, which is neck and neck with the SEC in terms of power conference, you have to be able to squeeze every bit of ability out of your guys that you have. I go to a guy, and I just talked about the Brewers. I go to a guy named Chris Hook, who literally picks up pieces of garbage from other MLB teams and just like, yeah, so you're going to be good for like 3 months now. I hope you're okay with that. Tressel has to be able to do that with these guys. You have to schematically be able to come up with stuff to create pressure, to allow the DBs to fly around, right? It would be great to have Milroe just under constant duress, so he's throwing up junk, and we could see Ricardo Hallman come down with 2 interceptions or something like that. That would be a dream come true for me. But Tressel has to as well empty the bag and squeeze every bit of ability out of these guys going into Saturday, because we're going to need all hands on deck.
Yes, we are.
So we switch to keys now. So, Mike, what's your key to this game versus Alabama?
So I got a couple. Number one, the batters have to be at least +2 in the turnover category, I think.
Okay.
We got to – I don't know how – that's been an issue, though, for us for creating turnovers so far in these first 2 games. Xavier Lucas had the 1 interception against Western Michigan, but other than that, it's been kind of a goose egg. So kind of going back to the X factor, the secondary, hopefully their secondary can get those opportunities to pick Milroe off potentially a little bit. But I think at the end of the day, we have to be +2 in the turnover category. I mean, kind of just thinking of like a game last year to like Ohio State, right? We had the turnovers against them to win that freaking game. Problem is, I don't hate to blame him about it or anything, but Braylon Allen also fumbled the ball twice. That kind of pegged us back a little bit. But if we can be at least +2 in the turnover category, I think we're going to be in it. But who's going to get those turnovers for us? I'm still a little hesitant or questioning that. So maybe the D-line or linebackers on a blitz can, cause a fumble or something like that. But we have to be +2 in the turnover category. And this kind of ties with my next point. This kind of ties with your point about, empty the bag. If there's more talent that is sitting behind the first team, I want more young guys to get more snaps. I'm specifically talking about like a Cade Yakameli. I'm talking about a Tackett Curtis.
Yeah.
I'm talking about a Christian Allegro.
Yeah.
I'm going off of last week's game when Tackett Curtis, I know obviously Tyler harped on this yesterday's show being a linebacker, but I mentioned this before with Tackett Curtis. I follow this dude's recruit. This dude shoots out of a fucking cannon.
Mm-hmm.
And it is so fun to watch. And we got to see that firsthand right away when he got in there for, I think it was 17 snaps, had 5 tackles, third leading tackler in 17 snaps. I want to see Tackett Curtis out there. He's got as much explosiveness as anybody on that team, might even have more. So I want to see him out there. I think he's going to get the start, but it's going to be curious to see how much Chaney, when he does come back for the second half, how much he does play. I think, Christian Allegro, we've obviously seen the flashes. He had a sack last week. Last year, he was already showing some flashes. I think those two combined are essentially more athletic. I personally could see somebody like Jaheim Thomas moving over on a couple plays and doing a pass rush occasionally and putting Allegro and Tackett Curtis in the game. I honestly could see that against a team like Alabama this weekend. So I would like to see if there's just more talent in the younger guys, just play them, please. If that's going to be our best chance to win, we got to do it. Kind of going back to your point, it's just emptying the bag. You put the talent in. Who's going to help us win the games? Xavier Lucas, throw him in there too, obviously. But I think, played 20 to 30 snaps last game. I think they're going to play him if he's healthy. So, and then I do have one more key. I got time of possession, and I go back to week 1 is a great example. How our offense, is going to play. Are we going to go back to the methodical part of it? And when I say that, with week 1, we had those 3-4 drives that were 14, 15, 16 plays. Granted, we didn't get many points on the board, but are we going to have to make it murky like that to stay in this game? Is that the kind of ball we might have to play? I hope not, because I do think we do have to take those occasional deep shots still. But, I mean, maybe we just have to make it ugly to keep it in this game, because we haven't scored. I mean, I hate to say it, but we haven't scored 30 points in these first 2 games. I don't see us scoring 30 against Alabama. I'm sorry if anybody gets pissed at me for saying that. So I think we might have to end up making this ugly. And when I say that, get those 14, potentially 15 play drives going again, and just to keep like Jalen Milroe off the field.
Yeah, no, I agree with all that stuff. Also, I also have 2 keys because we could do that now. So my first one is Tyler Van Dyke. Tyler Van Dyke needs to capture every little bit of hype that he came into this Wisconsin Badgers team with, and he needs to hone it in for one game and just hit every pass that he possibly can. He has played the best game he's ever had, and we actually had a watch party for the first game, and I did a breakdown on Tyler Van Dyke versus ranked opponents last year. He was tremendous. I should put a video together. I'm going to write that down. Video of just Tyler Van Dyke, and I'll release it on Saturday morning so everybody can see it, of stats that he had versus ranked opponents last year, to give people a little bit of confidence, because he knows how to raise his game when the talent level on the other sideline is raised as well. So my next one, I'll add that in. My next one is the crowd. I already honed in on this, but I swear to God, if that stadium is quiet, I'm going to be so livid in my living room, because I'm going to be screaming, okay? Be loud, be screaming. I'm going to be excited. I'm going to be, just happy to watch the Badgers play against a primetime team, be on national television. And also, it's just going to be a tremendous weekend. I'm going to do the weather report here in a second, so I'll get into it. But I believe the Badgers have a couple of recruits coming in this weekend. So what a weekend to have recruits come in, first of all, with the weather. Second of all, with a big-time game. I mean, they get to really experience what Madison's about. So hopefully the people show out. Hopefully the crowd is loud. Hopefully Tyler Van Dyke is diming them up. Hopefully we're running the ball, controlling the clock, and that will lead you to victory. So I'm going to use that as my transition. As for some goddamn reason, every year in this state, there's just one weekend in September where it's just like the most beautiful weather of all time. And it's been a tremendous weather week for us so far. Saturday is no different. High near 83. Winds are going to be east-southeast at about 5 to 10. Just superb September weather, in my opinion. So great weekend for recruits to come in. Great weekend to host big noon kickoff. And hopefully it's a great weekend to be a Badger and we get a big-time win. That would be something that I would love, honestly. So now we get to our score predictions, okay? So I'm going to remind everybody of Tyler's scores. If you didn't get a chance to watch the episode yesterday, I asked him for his scores, and his score from his head was 30 to 17 Bama, and his score from the heart was 31-30 Wisconsin. So, Mike, I'm going to go to you. What is your score prediction from the head?
Kills me to say this. I will say I think we do cover, but I got the Badgers losing 13. I do. I got the Badgers losing 13 to 27, and I don't – when we lose by 2, if we lose by 2 touchdowns, I think it's going to be one of those things where at halftime it's going to be like a 10-10 game, 10-7, something along those lines. Unfortunately, I do think that Alabama does pull ahead towards the end of the third, maybe fourth quarter. I also like saying that it's like the one positive thing about this Badgers team, the first 2 games, the fourth quarter, they have been doing very, very well in the fourth quarter in comparison to last year, at least so far. So there is one saving grace just going back to that. But again, I need to see more from our offense. I think we haven't scored 30 on these first 2 games. So that's why I'm a little hesitant. I'm like, offensively, okay, we got to muster something together here. But nah, I got 13-27 Alabama. I think it's more competitive than what the score says, though.
I like that. So my score from the head, I went Bama as well. We all went Bama from the head. If that tells you anything, I went 30-20. Again, like you, I could see Bama maybe getting a big time touchdown in the middle of the third quarter. That's kind of really the difference maker. Maybe they hit one big bomb, kind of like the Packer game was when they hit the big bomb to A.J. Brown. That really ended up being kind of the difference maker. Both teams were taking shots. Their shot was just they threw the last punch, and it was the one that landed. So I could definitely see that happening in this game, unfortunately. But I just want the Badgers to hang around, if nothing else. So now, what is your score from the heart?
I got a big, gigantic heart for my team here, but I got Badgers 23-20 in overtime. Again, I just think at the end of the day, if we are going to be in this game and we are going to have a shot, I just don't see us getting 30 points. So this defense has to be more than bend, don't break. We have to get some stops. We have to be in that +2 turnover category. And I think we have to hold them to right around that 17 to 20 point range for us to actually come out with a victory. So, I got 23-20 in overtime from my big, big heart. Massive.
Yeah, my heart is big too, and I want to take a chance to show off this new shirt I got for my girlfriend. So I'm a Badger on Saturday, and I'm a Packer on Sunday.
Hell yeah.
So shout out to my girlfriend for giving me this sick shirt. So on Saturday, I will be a Badger. And with that being said, I wear my heart on my sleeve every single day. And I have a score prediction of 23-21 Wisconsin, with Vacos making a game-winning 44-yard field goal with 8 seconds remaining in the game. You heard it here first. If he makes a 44-yarder with 8 seconds in the game, I'm going to need everybody who watches this episode to invite all of their immediate family tenfold. You're welcome.
Oh, my God. So down 1, too, and kicks a 44-yard to win it. Yes. Oh, my God.
I'm going to circle that.
You don't want to see my face if that happens. I'm going to be a nervous wreck.
I circled it so that when it happens and I cut up this video, I'm going to take a photo of this. I'm going to be like, I told you. And then everybody's going to come listen to me because I know some things and stuff. But with that, we are done. We look on to Bama. And then we will have a bye. So we will only have a preview next week. So Mike, you'll only get half of the screen time, sadly. And then also half the screen time next week because we'll have a recap and then we'll have a preview the next week. But with that being said, thank you, Mike. Appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, for showing up, watching. Appreciate it. I'm not very good at the host thing. Kind of step out of my realm of comfortability here, but appreciate it. Go Badgers, go Brewers, go Packers. I'll be at Lambeau on Sunday if anybody wants to come see me. I'm a big, giant, tall guy, and I'm very approachable. So I will see you guys later, and on Wisconsin.
On Wisconsin. Happy Bama week. Let's get that upset.